Hi FlossTube, it's Kim with Kim J Stitches. Yay, I said my name and channel right this time. Welcome to FlossTube number 54. It's Sunday, August 9th. It's a different filming day for me. I'll explain that later. I've had some new subscribers, and first I want to welcome all the new subscribers, all the people that I'm enabling, because a lot of you guys enable me too. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who have been with us since we were in the old place in Adairsville where I had to sit kind of funny, and sometimes Steve and I just looked rough, and that was okay, But, thank you for being with me for so long. That's been almost, I think it has been 6 years. And I kind of went through a few names, and I'm like, I was just kind of weird with that. But Kim J Stitches, we're sticking with that. That kind of explains my name. It explains what I do, and y'all know I talk with my hands. So, but welcome. My life updates probably could be a little bit longer. I usually try to keep it at 1 to 3 minutes. I hope to keep it at that length for now, but we've had a lot going on in our life. On Friday, July 31st, we suddenly lost my brother-in-law, the father of my 10-year-old nephew. And of course, my sister is grieving. And so we were down in Middle Georgia with our family for 6 days, about 6.5 days. Didn't get a lot of stitching done. Well, I don't really care. Stitching is a hobby. Family is first. So we'll talk more about that when we get into all of the stitching. We also had a dear church member pass away right before my brother-in-law did. His memorial service was yesterday. So we've been doing a lot of memorial services and grieving with people over the past week and a half, which is why I haven't stitched as much. I will talk a little bit about some possible in memoriam stitching coming up when we talk about plans later on in the video. But again, welcome. I am just so tickled that you are here. Here in my bright yellow guest room. If you ever come stay with me, this is a room that you will stay in with all the yellow. It is always springtime in this room, even at Christmas. I do not change the decor out in this room because I want one room that is just springtime and happiness. And this is a place where I come every morning just to kind of get, have a little time to pray, to think, and to kind of get centered. And I also now shoot FlossTube in here. So thank you again. So let's get down to talking about what have I been doing? Well, as I said, we left very suddenly on Friday, July 31st to go down to Middle Georgia, where we stayed for about 6 days or so. And I just grabbed some project bags, which is going to be reflected in my whip. So I have whips. I think I have 5. I have this written down. So if you see me looking down, I had to write everything down because my brain, it's been a lot, and Steve and I are mentally and physically exhausted. And I will say that Steve is doing pretty well. And we're actually going to be meeting my son Lee. We have talked to my 2 stepdaughters this past week, obviously with a family crisis. We all checked in with each other. So, but we're all doing pretty well. So let's see, I have whips today. Woohoo! And if you are joining me and this is your first time, or if you just wondered, why is Kim talking on a video and you just know me? Whips are works in progress. These are these long-term projects that I have. I have 3 starts and I don't care. I am going to start all the things and do all the things that I want to do because I want to. So I'm going to talk to you about my whip go for August. What are my 2 calls? I haven't started them yet. It's August 8th and I haven't started working on my whip go yet. And we'll talk about some plans, and then I have my giveaway. So, and I will announce that at the very end. I have a lot of stash I want to get rid of. I'm doing some stash unloading, but I'm also going to be doing a giveaway on my second video of every month. So this is the first one. I'm going to announce the winner from last one, but I'm working on saying, okay, I'm going to give some of these, and I'm give some of these things away and get rid of it and do some stash unloading so I can buy new things. We all know that, so I can buy new things. We're traveling to Kansas at the end of September. I've already found a cross-stitch store. It's in a town called Olathe, and you say it that way, but I want to call it Olathe. It's O-L-A-T-H-E, I think. So, but I'm making a definite plan to visit that store. And excited about that. I may be, who knows where I'll end up, or where Steve and I will end up. We're living life to the fullest, and Alzheimer's, Schmalzheimer's. We're still on the go and still doing life every day and having a great time at it. All right, so let's talk about whips. You're here for the stitching. We are 4 minutes and 42 seconds in. So when we were leaving to go to Macon, I just grabbed a few things, not really knowing what project bags I had grabbed. And really didn't matter. Again, this was about family and not about stitching. So ironically, one of the projects that I grabbed was this one from Hill Stitchery. I love Hill Stitchery, and it breaks my heart that she is no longer designing, because I have a Hill Stitchery on my wall over here. I have a whole bunch in my stash, and I have some that I haven't fully finished. I only have access to a black and white printer, and I don't know where my little fire tablet is. It's going to turn up. I am in the process. Real quick note here, what you can't see is I am redoing the office, my office craft room and the guest room, and redoing the closets, getting rid of some things again, unloading some stash. So you can't see all the boxes that are around here and all the boxes in there. I've organized fabrics. I've kind of organized some of the charts, but here's the funny thing. My best friend bought me a whole bunch of other stuff when she came to have a stitch day with me last month. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff that I got to make decisions on. Now, finally, we're going to get back to this whip. Again, this is Hill Stitchery. This is just a black and white picture, what it's going to look like. And I love to say, not to spoil the ending, but everything is going to be okay. I did not know that my brother-in-law loves sunflowers, probably something I should have known. And here's where I basically worked on the words. I had stitched, but everything is. And that was all I got done for like those entire 6 days, because there were a couple of days I didn't even stitch, because when I came back, we got back Thursday, I had to go straight to work, and I work from home, so I had to get back to work. So this is what I got done. I want to push this one to a finish, I don't know, as soon as I can, but there's a lot of them I'm pushing to a finish, but I love it. This is stitched on 32 count. Lugana Fly Me to the Moon from Grace Notes Fabrics. I absolutely love it. It's just a basic white that's showing up pretty good there. So I love it, and I wish I had more of this, and probably I might order some. I am in the Grace Notes Fabric Club of the month, and I really like her fabrics, and I like the colors, but I also like all of the designers. I like Be Stitch Me, I like Atomic Ranch, I like all the fabrics. So, but this is, and I have been in and out of fabric clubs for a really long time. So, but that's my first whip. So in the mornings, you guys know I try to have at least 20 minutes, depending on how early I get up. If I'm not sleeping, I might be stitching 2 hours before work and before things get going on the weekends. But I've started doing that. It's been great. I highly recommend losing the sleep to get up and do your stitching, because sometimes in the evenings you cannot find time to stitch, especially if you've got something going on at night. You got to go to it. So I hope I'm linking in the right places. I didn't even try that. And yeah, y'all, my hair is flyaway today. Y'all know I have that baby hair and covering up a little bit of some hair loss up there. So my early morning whip was supposed to have been in the mornings. Last week when we were gone, my Hawk Run Hollow. I absolutely have become a Hawk Run Hollow addict. I am looking forward to buying my next one. I didn't think I liked these, but I bought this in Alabama at a shop that was closing. This is the Village, and I always call it the Villages, but it's the Village of Hawk Run Hollow. I have just decided I want to stitch all the Hawk Run Hollow. I might not stitch Halloween because I don't stitch a lot of Halloween, but I have decided I want to stitch all of them. But I want to get this big one done first. So let me tell you what I decided to do, because y'all, if I want to do a different section of a design, if I'm bored doing alphabets, if you've seen any of my stitches, like I might do a border and work on the border, and then I might like turn around and decide I want to stitch in the middle of the design. I stitch what I feel. So what I have done, I've worked on this a couple of days. I have the Lieth which is supposed to say Lieth a Village. And then I decided that I wanted to do the snake. So I went down into the bottom, and that's the snake. He's gonna have some eyes, he's gonna have a little tongue, but that is the snake. My goal is to try to do a block every 6 months. I might finish this one a little bit faster. This is what that block will look like up close. Hoping you can see that, I don't know. So this is the block I am working on. So I was trying to decide which block I would do next. And I kind of thought I would go down to Opal's boarding house. We have a cousin Opal, thought I would do that in honor of her. But y'all see this block down here with all that full coverage, I'm like, ooh, that's going to be terrible. And that's the last block because it's the cemetery. But I thought if I leave that to last, I may be hating the project, you know, in 3, 4, 5, 6 years when I'm trying to finish it. So I've decided I'm probably going to go over and do the second block and then do this third block and then come down so that I can do that one. So that's my plan right now. Now that could change. When I finish this one, I may go, yeah, I just want to do Opal's boarding house. This is probably going to be the easiest one. It doesn't have as much stitching. This one's going to be the hardest one. I do love that little schoolhouse there. So, but yeah, and I am stitching this on 28 count Vintage Country Mocha using all the called for DMCs. I just didn't want to buy the silks. It is charted in silks, but I kind of used, my rule, if you're new here, is I will use the fancy floss and spend the money if I think it's going to make a difference in the design. But, you know, if it's just DMC, if there's just some, let me start this over again. There's just like letters or it's really not going to make that much of a difference, I'm going to use the DMC. And lots of times I'm doing projects all in DMC. So my next one, guys, I'm going to push this to a finish. I will tell you about that in a moment. This is Take Me Out to the Ball Game. I have been working on this for so many years, y'all. This was one of my whip go calls for July. Last week, you saw that I finished the Bluebird sampler. So excited to get those framed. Man, I got a lot done on here. Look, I got almost all the people done. And that crazy popcorn stand. And I'm hoping you can hear me when I said that crazy popcorn stand. I do apologize for getting in your face sometimes. But I love this. This is on, and I don't know if I've even told you guys, this is on some 28 count MG textiles. I think that's what it is. It's very much a thicker fabric. Some people don't like it, and I kind of do. See how thick that is? I did not serge my edges, y'all. And I did some Christmas ornaments on a white MG textiles back in 2020 or 2021, and I really liked this fabric. And so when I had an opportunity, I think I picked this up on Stash Unload, I bought it, and this was perfect. Now, I am using all the call for colors. Now, what are the reasons? This is an example, and the call for colors are a mix of DMC and some fancy flosses. One of the reasons why, look at the variegation and how nice that's Weeping Willow. I think that's a classic Colorworks, but see all the variegation right there in that grass? It looks amazing. Now, popcorn. I talked to you about I was going to have my best friend come in and do all of these French knots and everything. I do okay with them. I got the little guy's eyes, and the popcorn stand had a lot of French knots in it, but I like it the way it is. I think it looks like popcorn, and when I stitched those three, I thought, I'm leaving that. It's mine. I like it. You can tell. So I'm doing that. Now, I want to finish this. The Braves are doing great this year, and I'd love to finish this before the World Series or during the World Series. All I have left is I have to do some French knots and a little bit of stitching on all these people at the ball game and then I have to do, I'm just going to show it to you on the pattern. I have to do all of this grass, and all of that is just basic stitching. There is not a whole lot of, there's one little, I don't know if that's a flower or a base down there. I've done the ones over on this side. So I'm going to try that every night. We watch the Braves games every night. That is our tradition. I love the normal, especially after this week. I've been really thankful for normal. So I'm going to try to stitch on this about 30 minutes every night while we watch the Braves game before I do whatever my weekly stitching is going to be. All right, we're moving right along. So I did get a little bit done. I told you I'm doing hometown holidays. I'm doing all of these. I actually purchased quite a few more. I will show those to you next time. They're way back here. I don't know. I can grab them. I can show them to you in a little bit. So there's 23, 22 of them. This was chart number 1, and this is the house. So I am using all DMC on these. It did have some fancy flosses. I think last time that I saw you, that I had the tree done, but I got a little bit done on the house. I probably would have a little bit more done, but it wasn't one of the bags that I grabbed when I left for Middle Georgia. I'm doing all of these on 18 count Vintage Country Mocha. I just think that that's a good way to show the white, because I always have to worry about my white showing up on a lot of fabrics. You can hear a zip here. I don't know if these had come in when I saw you last time, but I decided that Steve could pick the next one because I have a lot of them. And I think I showed you the ones that I had last time, but I picked up quite a few more. So this is the Steve. So I did bookstore for Lee just as an ornament because my son, Lee, likes bookstores. He reads a lot of books. But Steve wants this one. He wants, and I'm sorry, there we go. The coffee shop. That's the one he wants to do next. So I have decided that once I have about 4 or 5 finished, as far as the stitching, I'm going to decide how I want to display them. I learned how to do a stand-up at the Barefoot Needle Arts retreat back in May. Do I want to do them in stand-ups or do I want to do them in cubes? I have practiced a cube finish and it hasn't gone very well, but that is how Little House Needleworks, the designer, that is how they have finished them, if you can see. And these little cubes. It'll be my own little Christmas village. Where we'll put it, we don't know. But hey, there we go. All right, this is my last actual WIB, and I did not get to work on this. I normally work on my Prairie Schooler Santas on Monday. Love these. This is the very first 4. It goes from 1984 to 1987. I am working on 1985. I am old. That's the year I graduated high school. Little Santa with the big long beard. So what I worked on was I'm working on getting this bag done. I just decided I wanted to stitch green. And shocker, these are also stitched on 18 count vintage country mocha. I will be stitching as many as I can until I can't stitch anymore. So we hope that'll be never, okay? I'll probably stitch it in my casket, y'all. And so yeah, so I like him. I can't wait to do the white beard. I'm joking. Y'all know that white's not my favorite color to stitch. But hey, it's Prairie Schooler. And I do use all the called for colors with Prairie Schoolers, all the called for DMC that comes with them. So that was all the things that I was able to work for since I saw you last. So I have 3 starts and I am pretty excited about them. So guys, I'm in the Blackbird Academy, woohoo, the stitch along. So they have different themes and I am in the process. Guys, I have a pretty big Blackbird stash. So what I'm going to do this, I have, if you go back a few videos, I think even in last video I showed it, I am working on 'Tis the Season with a gorgeous cardinal in it. And I worked on that when my best friend was here for the stitch along, or when we just stitch along. We don't stitch along, even though she and I work on some of the same things, which she has finished her 'Tis the Season. It's gorgeous. But so I think with the exception of next month, which I think the theme is birds, and I'm going to use that to I'm going to try to finish 'Tis the Season. I'm kind of going to kitting up based on the themes. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I do my giveaway, because my giveaway is going to be my November Blackbird Academy SAL. So I decided that even though I have 2 Blackbirds going right now, that I've been wanting to start this forever. All right, guys, if you know me, you'll go, but Kim, that's Halloween. You don't normally do a lot of Halloween patterns. I'm not against Halloween. I just don't know if it matches what goes on in my house. The reason why I love this one, and my best friend who is probably watching this knows, I had a black cat. I've only had 1 pet in my life. My best friend's a veterinarian. Somebody brought her a cat that was hit by a car. She gave him to me because nobody was claiming him. I called him Boo Boo Kitty from Laverne and Shirley, because if you remember, Shirley had a black cat named Boo Boo Kitty. We called him Boo for short. He was precious, and in honor of him, and I do have some black cats that I have stitched in the past in honor of him, but I just thought that I would. Now, I am using 28 count needle and flax Hemingway. I just picked up 2 whips at one time. And I just wanted to get a start in this yesterday. I think I started it Friday night. So what I did was I'm all the way across with the border. This is not really showing. You pull it back, it shows the color a little bit more true. It's very brown, and you can tell it's very mottled. I think this is really great fabric for this. The call for fabric, let me look, is 30 count R&R 18th century brown. R&R sometimes is hard to get. I have done a couple of projects on 30 count, but not. So basically what I stitched was these, just like these top things in a row here. I changed this. The call for is a little bit more brown, and I wanted these to be a little bit more orange. I am using the fancy floss, definitely for the moon. And I think that might be the only thing, and I've already purchased the fancy floss. That is called, I think, oh, let me see. You know, I got to tell you. It's called Ginger Snap, and it is by Classic Colorworks. So yeah, I hope I didn't show the chart by looking at that. No, you couldn't see it. So I am using the fancy floss there. So, but yeah, so I just did those things there. I'm not aiming for a finish. I am mostly going to use the Blackbird Academy Stitch Along to do my starts, with the exception of next month where I'm going to try to push for a finish on my 'Tis the Season, because I am really close. If I would quit having to frog everything. I've got two things, I think, if you look back last week, that I showed that I had frog. So that was my start. That was like Friday night, stitched a little bit on that, got that all the way across yesterday, and stitching that on 28 count needle and flax with a mix of my own colors. And I think I forgot to tell you, I decided to use, you might want to see the front of this and not the back of mine, but I'm using DMC 921 up here at the top. My board is sitting right here, but I haven't been using it. But that's DMC. I just wanted mine a little bit more orange up there. A little bit more, it's kind of a burnt orange, 921. I've used 921 a lot in my I will celebrate 30 years of stitching end of September. My best friend taught me at the Coosa Valley Fair in Rome, Georgia in 1996. So that's 30 years, wow. All right, so I'm trying to get some Christmas ornaments done early. And I'm just picking random ones that I have. I have a lot of Christmas ornament books. So I'm going to show you this because there are charts all in this. This is, if I can see, Tidings of Comfort and Joy is this one. I don't know if I put it up there if you can see it better, if it's going to blow it out. But that's the one I started stitching. I have this one stitched but not fully finished. But this is from My Big Toe, which I have a lot of My Big Toe in my collection. And if you guys are not stitchers and you're watching this, My Big Toe really is a designer. So I just pulled, I can't tell if this is, I think this is 32 count. And I picked a couple of color and cotton flosses. I know the green is Forest. I forget what the red is. If you want to know, email me. I'll have my email at the bottom. But this is where I got on it. And I said, this is just some white even weave that I pulled out of stash, and I think it's 32 count. Might be, it could be 28. That's where I got on that one. So yay. I'm going to do a lot of things with the color and cottons. I was in their floss club for a long time, so I'm pulling projects as I'm doing a lot of kitting, because I don't really care how many whips I have. I'm somewhere near 35 or 36 right now. I don't think I'll ever get to 50. I don't know if I'll get to 100. And those are active whips. That's not all the things that have been UFO'd. All right. So my last start, y'all, when I saw this, and I did not bring the pattern in here. So this is Starry Night Studio. She has started designing. I am going to do a FlossTube short, and I will put that pattern in that FlossTube short. I will also put a picture of it on my Instagram, which I will link below, because I cannot believe that I went to all the trouble of getting that printed and did not do it. So it's called Honey, and it has bees, and it has a hive in the middle of 2 bees, and then it has a gorgeous house and some sunflowers. I am stitching this on 20 count needle and flax. It is called Mackinac Fudge. And I started the little bee last night. Again, it's on 20 count. It's all in DMC. I am using the called for DMC. And I sometimes debate, even on 18 count, do I use 1 or 2 strands? I personally like things to be kind of thick. Let's see if that's showing. The color of this fabric is really pretty brown. And yeah, that's showing it pretty true to color. If I move it up, for some reason, it doesn't. But I really love this. It's kind of been a needle and flax week. Both of my starts are on needle and flax. Guys, that's all the needle and flax I have in my stash. So that's all you're going to see from needle and flax. So yeah, I really enjoyed starting that. The pattern is so cute. I cannot believe I did not bring the cover sheet, but I am 24 minutes into this video and I'm not going to stop it. So, but I will put it on my Instagram, but it's by Starry Night Studio. She has always been doing a lot of boards, a lot of finishing items. Several of my Christmas ornaments are on Starry Night Studio items, and she has a finishing piece for this, and I may get it, I may not, because I have a lot of yellow and a lot of bee stuff in my stash, because as I said, I woke up one day after years of not liking yellow, and all of a sudden I like yellow. So those are my 3 starts. Let's talk WhipGo. I cannot believe we are 7 months into WhipGo, and I have made my goal every single time. So these are my whip go calls, and I will be honest with you, I don't have the cover sheet for this one, but you've seen it just last week. This is one of my whip go calls. This is Birds by Shakespeare's Peddler. It has birds and bird cages, and this is where I was. I'm in the same place I was last week. I gotta move this. This is on 20 count Portobello. I think that is. It's from Be Stitch Me. It's got a lot of really cool colors in it, and which I think you can see here, a little green, a little pink, a little gray. And I just thought this would be really cute on that. I started this on some 46 count, and that is just not for me, at least not with this project. I may do something else with that 46 count, but not for me. This was my other whip go call. This is called Memorial Day. I call it God Shed His Grace on Thee. I am stitching this with all the sulky threads. I bought the thread pack years ago. It took me years to start this. Don't know why. Maybe I was intimidated by the sulkies, but I love them. I am using one strand of the sulky threads on 32 count white even weave. And this is where I've started doing the flags, because I did the border and the poles all the way down on one side at least. Anyway, here's a blooper for you. So you can see that I said my board is over there, but I left it over there. But this is where it is. So I will be working on hopefully getting at least one of the flags done. My WIPCO goals is I really want to see some progress when I do WIPCO. So I set up that I do 8 hours a month on each project, and so far I've met it. And it's been like, who am I? Because usually I've given up on WIPCO by February, and I don't even try to play catch up. But I have 7 months in, and now we're on the 8th, and I feel certain that I will get these done. I really like that bird cage from Shakespeare's Peddler. Again, I will put these pictures of these projects in a short, and so that you can see those. Try to do that when I get back from spending time with my son, and then I'll also post them on Instagram. So I do want to talk about plans. So you guys know that I stitch a lot of things in honor of people. Steve always gets a Valentine. If you remember from way back when we were in Georgia, the Air Force photo, I hated that project, but it said Air Force. It was nice, but it was a kit that I bought off Stash Unload, and that thread was terrible and cheap and frayed. I was worried I wasn't going to have enough. But yeah, I stitch a lot for people, and I'm stitching things in honor of my father. I have Christmas ornaments and for my father and my mother, doing the Simplicity pattern for my mom, and doing Wilbur the Pig by Teresa Kogut also for my mom. So we're coming up on 10 years this month that my mom's passed away. So you'll see Wilbur come out. The Simplicity, it's a kit and drives me crazy. And it's just going to stay on my WIPCO board till it's finished, because I don't pull it out a lot. Wilbur's fun, even though I had to restart him. I love that little pig. So my brother-in-law was a hunter. He was a great hunter. And in fact, he had several deer heads in his living room. You know, whether you like hunting or not, hey, some people do, you know, whatever. I just let people live and let live. Years ago, this pattern, let me see, I think this is from 1990. This is an October 1996 magazine. My former husband was a hunter too, and I was going to do this for him. It's called Noble Buck. That's a lot of confetti for those of you who stitch, and I actually started it on some 14 count Aida. Well, I never stitched on linen. It's called for is a 28 count linen, I think from, I don't know from who. And I kind of started it. And I had always thought when my brother-in-law came into the family that one day I'd finish it and give it to him for Christmas or something. I don't know if I want to, so I actually didn't size this. So I don't have enough space over there to do it. There's a string here. No, yep, there's string. There's lots of strings. I'm a stitcher. I walk out of the house with strings on my pants all the time when I wear pants. I usually wear shorts, but anyway. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do this one, because it does have a lot of confetti, and it has a lot of 3/4 and half stitches, which are very difficult to do on Aida. Thought about stitching it over, but I definitely went through my Christmas ornament stash, and there are a lot of really great Christmas ornaments that have deer on them. So I'm probably going to start a Christmas ornament and put his name and his life dates, I guess, for lack of a better word. or just put his name on it. I don't think my sister watches FlossTube, so I won't be spoiling any. I don't think any of my family besides my son watches FlossTube. All right, so that's one of my plans. I'm going to work on Wilbur for my mom. That's the Teresa Kogut's, a couple of things back. And I have some fall things. I'm really going to be pushing Take Me Out to the Ball Game for a finish that you just saw. And also pushing, I want to finish that pattern by Starry Night Studio this month because I'm going to be putting up a lot of sunflowers for September. I have not changed out. I have said a lot today, and I know I smacked my lips. I have not changed out my decor. It's still got patriotic stuff up in the area where we do the seasonal stitches. So I've started putting up flamingos and beach stuff, which is what was going to go up for August, which that was what I was going to do last Saturday, but we were in Middle Georgia. Again, family comes first. I don't care that I haven't changed out my decor. There's nobody coming over here anytime soon. Okay, so let's do the giveaway. So I did a drawing before because I had 2 people who wanted to win this. This is Yellow Submarine. This is Blackbird Designs. I accidentally bought 2 of them. The theme for the Blackbird Academy SAL is baskets for November. I'm starting this in November. Honestly, I've been wanting to start Yellow Submarine for a really long time. And I didn't have it. So Lana Ritchie 1163, you won the drawing for this. Please leave your address, email me your address so I can mail these out. I also owe the Okie Stitcher Hannah. I know I've got a couple of patterns I need to get out to you. I have just not been in town, but I'm going to try to mail everything on Wednesday. That is my goal. I have set my goals for this week. Guys, thank you so much for hanging around for my and all the craziness. I will be back 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now on Saturday, my husband has his annual high school class reunion. They do this every year. And I feel like I'm a Daresville, Georgia resident. In fact, I was talking to one of Steve's classmates on the phone one day, and I said something about our reunion. I didn't go to that school, but I have been going to those reunions for over 10 years. I just feel like I'm one of them. So I'm very thankful to all of those wonderful people at those Daresville High School reunions who make me feel like I'm one of you. And I enjoy them. I think I enjoy them more than Steve sometimes. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope I will see you back in 2 weeks. Hope you guys have a great stitchy day. And again, thank you so much. Bye-bye.